Has anyone ever asked you for advice and would not shut the fuck up when it came time to receive the advice, but went on and on and on to tell you why every recommendation you offered them wouldn't work for them because of some bullshit excuse or reason? If so, you might need this liberating structure, which is Troika Consulting, in your life. Troika Consulting, you guessed it, is one of my absolute favorite liberating structures. Pound for pound, one of the absolute favorite, just the pound for pound champ. Troika Consulting, let's just get into it. Troika Consulting works in a very simple pattern, which is give help or advice twice, and everybody gets help once. We do that by showing up in a group of 3. And we're going to offer both of our partners advice, and both of them are going to give us advice as well. Everybody's going to get a turn to receive recommendation or consultation in this structure. It is an extraordinary structure that helps us exchange care and grow the cultural mycelium of trust between people. You will find that the feedback of Troika Consulting is almost a universal always of, oh my God, it seems like I had the exact best 2 people in the world to help me out with this question. And that is not magic. For sure, the structure of Troika Consulting makes it possible, but newsflash, human beings are awesome, and if you will allow them to care for you, we will go to extraordinary lengths to offer our ideas, information, and insight to one another. So it's a really, really powerful structure for mutualism. That being said, how does it work? So again, we get into this group of 3 and we pick, whoever's got the longest hair, whoever has the most urgent need, somebody goes first. And in just 1 minute, that person takes on this role of client and they ask for help. They explain their situation, their challenge. They offer the question that they're working with to the other pair, right? So they talk, these nerds listen. And after that, we switch into the mode of clarifying questions. We usually earmark ourselves just 3 minutes for the other folks, the consultants in this example, to ask clarifying questions. There's a couple anti-patterns you'll want to watch out for. Clarifying questions are not the time to start giving advice. Clarifying questions may or hopefully may not be more of like your challenging coaching type questions. Clarifying questions are really about clarification, getting additional information so that when these nerds offer their consultation, it's informed by the stuff that matters. So just follow your curiosity. Don't overthink it. It doesn't really matter. Of course it matters. Everything matters. But don't make a big deal out of it, is my point. So after that 3 minutes of clarification questions where the consultants ask questions and the client answers questions, then we're going to get into the consultation phase. This is the advice portion. And there's one thing that makes this structure, this is the reason the structure slaps, is that at this point, if you're in an actual room together, the client will literally turn their back on the consultants. Like imagine them, sitting together and, everybody's facing one another, initially. At this phase, the client will turn around and put their back to the consultants. And importantly, just shut the fuck up, listen, and take notes while the consultants go back and forth. They vibe with one another, right? So what makes a good consultation? Don't worry about it. Tell a story about a time when you experienced something similar. Offer a framework or a tool that you think might help out a person in that type of situation. Just break down like how you might approach it if you were in such a situation yourself, whether you have been or not. Just vibe, just have a conversation between these 2 folks, and while this person listens and takes notes. That's the whole innovation here. 5 minutes, you will offer what you've got to offer and won't have taken a whole bunch of time. And at which point the client can sort of come back and share to the consultants, you know what? When you said that bit, that part was really insightful for me. I think that is quite applicable. So thanks so much for that advice. Or, a great result of Troika Consulting can also be, holy crap, that was a totally irrelevant conversation that helped me realize that the problem that I thought was my problem, I didn't explain well at all, or actually isn't the problem that actually matters to me. That stuff's all pretty easily to sort with. Like, even that can be a powerful move to help somebody clarify their own situation and move on to the next thing. So those of you that are astute with math will notice that this series takes 10 minutes. If everybody takes a turn in the client seat, you will have this opportunity to both give advice twice and get advice once in just 30 minutes. Keep your notepads handy. If you want to use a shared doc or something like that to do that, if you be my guest, but just take your own local notes. And of course, at some point, often in this takeaway, you'll have to be like, hey, that thing that you mentioned, where do I find more information about that? So be prepared for that eventuality as well. So in just 30 minutes, you will have exchanged care and helped grown the trust between any three individuals that find themselves in Troika Consulting. Am I going to do this in the same video or a different video? Because there's another structure. I'm sorry, guys. I lied. I said Troika was my favorite. And the truth is, Troika's great. But my real favorite is Wise Crowds. I mean, why do you think the project is called Wise Crowds? Why do you think I host a Wise Crowd session every Monday at 4 p.m. Central European Time? Wise Crowds is even better than Troika, if you can believe it. And I love it even more. That's not true, actually, but it is, somehow, paradoxically. It's a wicked question. Never mind. You will notice, let's just get to it. So, Wise Crowds, larger group. That's the change in state here. Still one client, but a group of like 4, 5, 6 people can play the role of consultant. A little more time on the clock to explain your help request to your consultants. A little more or the same time on the clock to do the clarification questions. And same basic mechanic of consultation. Client turns around, or if you're going to do this in a virtual context, the client would mute themselves and turn off their webcam, but importantly listen while the consultants talk to each other. So a little more time for that consultation to accommodate the larger group, but same basic vibe. Client comes back and offers their takeaway to the consultants. That's how it works. So again, give help twice. Well, not really, actually. Hold on, let's delete that. You don't give help twice. I mean, if you're going to do this as an entire group to go around the circle, you will notice that your time commit is going to be a bit larger. It's going to take you more time than that 30 minutes to give everybody else a turn. It's time well spent, truth be told. It's very time effective, and once more, it does incredible things in the category of building trust. That higher time commitment, you usually think about like 90 minutes, if you're in a group of 6, for everybody to take a turn. Really good value. Like, you guys will find that you are much better friends after that 90 minutes than you were at the start. But, not everybody wants to do that or likes to take the time for that. So Wise Crowds is another structure of almost identical form in this category of peer-to-peer support mechanisms, right? What is to be said of that? I think of both Wise Crowds and Troika Consulting. To me, they still fit into this interaction pattern, because you'll notice most of the action is really about the procedure. Hey, These are how groups are formed. This is how participation is distributed. This is how you manage time, and these are the steps that are involved. There is more of an attention on the question or the direction that these interactions patterns have. You notice they're about help, they're about support. Whereas 1, 2, 4 all, conversation cafe, UX fishbowl, celebrity interview, impromptu networking, hell, even shift and share are much more neutral. They're just hanging out. Whereas Wise Crowds and Troika Consulting are not quite neutral. They're pushing you somewhat in this direction of like, help one another, like give each other advice and be kind and like take care of each other. I mean, it is overt, but most of the action again is on the procedure, right? There's not a specific recommendation for how to induce people to offer specific types of help requests. It can be a question, it can be a challenge, it can be a situation. What you will notice is that for Wise Crowds, Troika and Troika Consulting, they scale perfectly to the amount of trust in the room. Like, if I trust the shit out of the two people that I'm in Troika with, we were going to go fucking deep super fast. If I don't, if this may be people that I'm unfamiliar with, that I may have only superficial relationships with, then you know what? We're going to keep things way close to the surface line. We're not going to get into deep water, revealing like how the more intimate aspects of our personal relationships and maybe our internal state or feelings. You can have an evaluation. You can think that that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's just practicality. If I don't trust those guys, I don't offer a super deep and intense help request to them. But if I do trust these nerds, then you have the opportunity to go as deep as you absolutely dare to. You can think about how you prime the space with different structures and different moves on the front side before you get into these things that might help encourage more depth in the structure. And good things might come as a result of that. Or you can play it fast and dirty and just, trust everybody to play the game they want it the way they want it to be played and have a good time. So this is both Troika Consulting and Wise Crowds, two of my absolute favorite liberating structures. If you are new to liberating structures, I would say you will do yourself an incredible favor by getting to Troika as fast as possible. Show people what it's like to have a good time with Troika Consulting, and they will want to come back for more because it's just such a goddamn good vibe. At any rate, my name's Jeremy. This has been a Wise Crowds production. Thanks for your time, attention, and energy. Hold on to your butts.